Greetings. Welcome towards lecture series on mechanics of solid. In today's session, we'll be discussing about prerequisite for mechanics of solids. Let's move with the term force. Force. Force may be defined as an external agency which produces or tends to produce, destroys or tends to destroy motion of a rigid body. If we talk about the bodies, we can find bodies are of two types. One is in rigid nature and one is in deformable nature. Rigid means what? It is not going to show any type of deformation, distortion, or change in volume or change in area when the external force is being applied. Whereas deformable bodies, this shows the change in area, change in volume, distortion and deformation along the length, along the geometry of a body. The example of this rigid body mechanism can be seen with the help of the motional picture here, where a batsman is going to hit a ball. Here ball is assumed to be a rigid because it's not going to have any deformation. It remains solid after the application of your load. The bat here acts as a media to transfer the force. The external force here will try to move or tends to move the set the motion in a ball, which we can say the supporting towards the statement external agency which produce or tends to produce motion of a rigid body. Next picture shows that a wicket keeper is going to stop the ball. Here his hands are going to act as a external agency which is applying a force to stop the motion of the body. It supports the statement that it destroys or tends to stop the motion of a rigid body. Now if we talk about the deformable bodies, for deformable bodies force may be defined as an external agency which produces or tends to restore the deformation or distortion of a deformable bodies. So if we take an example of here spring, we know the spring is having a certain spring coefficient and a coil geometry. These coils are flexible in nature. When force is applied over this coil, that they came closer to each other, thereby we find that there is a shortening in the length which we call as a deformation of that spring. This deformation is associated with the change in volume, it's associated with the change in the surface appearance. We can say this change in surface appearance as a distortion. Hence, we can say force in case of a deformation body is the agency which tends to produce the deformation or to restore the deformation. So, much more updates related to forces will be discussed in next lecture. Till then, goodbye.